John?
Chris,
you look good again.
Well, I always do. Well, I will do in this, won't I?
What's the secret?
the kit.
Do you think?
There's no secret. It's all on show. It's all
Natural.
Oh, yes.
Episode number 2.
Of the 18th series.
Nigel Martyn.
Yes.
Premier League legend.
Can I go in with these clubs
Yeah.
while it's on my brain? Bristol Rovers, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Everton, and plenty of England caps.
Should have had more.
If it weren't for that bloody seaman.
It's always...
He's on your shit list,
I'm not
isn't he?
doing that. Yeah, we'd have got further, I think, if that Ronaldinho... We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
I think Nigel
Nigel would have sorted it.
Saved it.
Big Sam last week. Enjoyed it.
Think he's wanting the Bolton job if it comes up?
I think he left the door well and truly
There's a lot of sentiment there, wasn't there?
ajar.
Holds a place in his heart.
Yeah.
I'm not wishing the sack on anybody, but I'd love him. I'd love him to walk out of it's not the Reebok anymore, is it? But to me, it's the Reebok.
Is he your favourite ever manager?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By the way, Village was a harsh nickname for Nigel, wasn't it? I thought.
One of those sensiblest keepers we've
Yeah,
had.
sensible, intelligent.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the time, they're like lunatics, aren't they?
Yeah.
You watched his son, haven't you? Great opera singer, fetched his son.
Yeah, his son come. Remember, he said he did opera. I watched a couple of videos. He's incredible.
What was his name?
Thomas
Thomas, you pulled that out
Thomas
the bag.
Martin. Yeah, there you go. So you trickle. You didn't think I'd pull that one out, did you? That was in there. Yeah, have a Google. He's unbelievable. Yeah, looking good in the shirts. Massive thanks to O'Neills Sportswear once again. There they are. They're available. This is a medium. I know people have been asking.
I was a large in the white, XL in the black, and the big in.
2 kisses for John.
Double XL in them all. And you can buy them anywhere now, can't you? Anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorted that out.
Yeah, so massive thanks to O'Neills, and the link's in the description if you want to get a kit, one of our kits, or sort your team out.
Did a bit of modelling and all.
Bespoke
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I think that I've like missed my vocation.
How good did we look?
Did you see somebody saying I look like an athlete?
Yeah. That
like
hurt.
Yeah.
Somebody messaged saying, why does Chris look like the only athlete amongst yous?
I took a screenshot of that. Not to send to anyone.
Is it on the fridge?
I just keep, got it blown up and printed.
It's right as well, because I did look at our technique and we're all over the
I've
shop.
got bad knees, haven't I?
It was torso though, wasn't it?
Oh, I think I was thinking more of the running
The
technique.
running one when we're racing. I won that, by the way.
see.
You look on the still, Matt.
Third. So to be fair, I've got a bronze medal. So I get an MBE for that. And if I come back from Olympics with a bronze medal,
Happy.
I'm getting an MBE, yeah.
Patreons.
Yes, if you're not involved with the Patreon, there is a plethora
150.
of unbelievable episodes, and it just supports the podcasting. These free ones. It's massive thank you to people who are already Patreons, because it's just helped get some incredible guests on it. But if you're not already involved, that link's in the description as well. And there's how many did you say?
140, 150.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 150 episodes. Frank Clark comes out on Thursday.
Do the...
One of my favourite stories.
That is so disrespectful.
That's outrageous.
Hey,
I can't believe you've...
that's a foot in disgrace. And he actually said the word disgrace. And straight away, I just thought, no, I'm doing
That's
it.
because you were going, so he was a bit out of order. Some would say, did.
Yeah, my shoulders were going when he said it.
But no, yeah, massive thanks to all them Patreons and links in the
we couldn't
description.
do this without you, anyway,
No.
basically.
No.
And they've carried on while we've been out of series.
Yes, as they always do, 2 every month. We
Yeah.
don't mess about. And thanks to everybody who's been listening to Friday Club as well. Shall we get Nigel in?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Please.
Ladies
You're
and
bonus,
gentlemen,
Chris.
Mr. Nigel Martyn. Is there no chance that you could play each other cricket-wise?
Oh, Nigel plays in a much higher league than me.
Does he?
Oh, aye. Serious cricketer, by the way.
Oh, I don't know about that.
What, just different leagues, well out of your...
Worlds apart, Chris. That's
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah, basically, aye. We're pub knockout. And Nigel's playing proper cricket.
But you were saying if you get promoted this year, you're in the next level below county cricket. Is that right?
Yeah, if we could get promotion this year, we'd go into Yorkshire Prem division, which is basically as high as you can go in Yorkshire. I think there's 3 divisions in Yorkshire that are like at the highest level, and they will have the odd county player, Yorkshire player coming back in. There's a few affiliated with York and things like that, so you could get a chance to play against them. So,
was it only since you retired that you wanted to play, or did you play when you were younger and that? Or?
I played when I was younger. I actually played cricket and rugby for Cornwall schools, but not football. So I didn't get in the football team for Cornwall schools, but I did for cricket and rugby. And cricket was always the game I wanted to play the most, but I was probably better at football. So that's why.
At what age did you put the gloves on for the first time?
I played under 9s for a local team, and I loved playing in goal and always played over the park with my mates and my brother and everything like that. Always wanted to be in goal, but because I could play outfield as well, school always played me as an outfielder, and then successive boys teams after the under 9s played me as an outfielder right up until I left school. I'd left school and wasn't playing football, wasn't doing anything. My brother came home one day and said his works team were a bit short. Did I fancy playing? So I said, go on then, I'll play on a Saturday. They weren't that bothered. They just needed somebody to stand between the sticks.
It shows the other way, isn't it? Like the shittest outfield player, we'll put him in goal. You know what I mean? That's how it works, isn't it?
Normally. But it was kind of like the other way around. The more I played in goal, the worse I got as an outfield player, funnily enough. I wasn't great with my feet when I got a little bit more into my career. But at that time, in Cornwall, just completely given up football and then just asked to play at 16 and playing, not the highest league in Cornwall. But, you're playing against blokes and you learn to look after yourself and you grow up pretty quickly. And I sort of played 2 seasons with them for a bit of fun and then was noticed on the sort of a higher league, then moved to St Blasey for a year and then Bristol Rovers.
And what was the crack with the tea lady at Bristol Rovers? Where did that story come from?
Well, so I'm playing for St Blasey, and there was a guy that owned the carpet shop along Station Road in St Blasey, which is about 250 yards from the football ground in St Blasey. He obviously used to go along and watch. I didn't know him. He knew the tea lady at Bristol Rovers, so unbeknown to me, he'd spoken to her and said, look, we've got a good young goalie down here I think you should be looking at. She went in and saw Jerry Francis, since heard that Jerry said, yeah, well, whatever. And then she kept badgering him about it. And he went, I tell you what, get him up, he can stay with you and we'll have him for a couple of days and then we'll send him home. So I got invited up on trial, trained Thursday, Friday, played half a game against Gillingham in a pre-season friendly on the Saturday. Game finished. My whole family, my wife's family, all had gone up. Sort of gone in the bar afterwards and hung around for about 3/4 of an hour and hadn't heard anything and thought, well, that's obviously a no then. So we all started sort of walking along the. It was Forest Green Rovers ground. We were walking around the outside to get to the car parks. We had a long drive back to Cornwall and. Jerry came running out and he went, where are you going? I went, well, I thought, it was a no and we were just going home. And he went, no. He said, how much are you earning at the moment? So I was quite clever then because I added my overtime in and said, I'm on 95 quid a week.
And what were you doing?
I was working in a plastics factory.
Right.
So I was doing shift work, working in a plastics factory. It was a way of earning more money. In Cornwall was to do sort of shift work. Jerry just said, well, we'll give you a 1-year contract, offer you an extra tenner, basically 105 quid a week. Do you want to sign? I was like, yeah, okay. But I was due to get married 3 weeks later. He said, well, what are you going to do with your wedding? I said, well, I'm getting married on the 22nd of August. He said, no, we play Sunderland away on the 22nd of August. You're going to have to change your wedding.
Oh, no.
So I was up training. So my wife, Amanda, she had to change the whole wedding and everything. Yeah, well, she, it was a chance to play professional football. So she was, really supportive. So the wedding got moved. She had her 18th birthday on the 10th of August. I had my 21st birthday on the 11th of August. I made my Football League debut, first game of the season on the 15th of August.
Oh, so you were straight in?
Straight into the team. It's so weird. And then we got married on the 17th, so the Monday after the first game of the season. We got married on the Monday, and then literally left Monday evening with everything we owned in the back of a Ford Escort and moved into a flat in Bristol. And
whirlwind.
yeah,
Suppose it saved you a few quid on the honeymoon, didn't it? Sorry, love, I can't go yet.
Well, she waited 25 years, and we went to Venice on her 25th wedding anniversary.
I don't think she was expecting to wait quite as long as that, was she?
God bless the tea lady.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, Vi Harris, she was called. I went and stayed with her for that week.
Make a good brew.
She made a good brew, but like when you're pre-season training, you know, like a sausage and egg and about half a dozen chips on a plate for your tea, well, it wasn't enough. So I remember going, you know, eating the tea and going, you know, I'm starving, and going, I'm just going to go off and ring my wife, because in those days, you know, there was no phone in the place. You had to go to a pay phone. So I'd sort of go quarter of a mile away, there was a pay phone. I used to drive part there, but I used to go via a chip shop and get a bag of chips and sit there, eating a bag of chips whilst talking to my wife on the phone, and then, you know, discard the evidence and go back in. But
So we started, the game was Saturday, was it? So you're Monday. All of a sudden you've signed and you're in.
I had to report for pre-season. So I think the pre-season game was something like about the 28th of July, 29th of July, something like that. So that would have been the Saturday. Go home, see you Monday morning.
So you've started on the 28th of July. I presume the first game of the season will have been 10th of August?
15th
of August.
Yeah.
So you've had 2.5 weeks. The goalkeeper who was there originally must have been raging.
Yeah, Tim Carter. He was a young goalie. Tim
at Sunderland?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Tim was probably a couple of years older than me, so he was young as well. And I think he'd only broken into the team maybe a couple of seasons before. So, I wasn't expecting to walk straight into the team like that. But, you know, when Jerry sort of announced it, I was like, you know, you kind of only see it from your side. When you're younger, you don't have that ability to feel for other people at that point as much. So, you know, I was just delighted to play. And, you know, it's always tough with goalies because there's obviously the one starting spot.
They always train together.
Yeah. And I've always been as friendly as I can be with my sort of teammates, with the other goalies, be it, you know, going through with all the goalies that I've been with, and most of the time I've obviously been playing. But obviously when it's got to England level, you know, Dave Seaman would have played, you know, the majority of my England call-ups and whatever. But I'm still friends with him. You know, you've got to be friends both ways, whether you're playing or whether you're not playing. That's kind of how I've always been, you know.
Has it always been reciprocated the other way? Have you ever noticed keepers that don't have the same mentality as that?
Dave was very focused on playing. So Dave would be really, really on it when he was playing and training. If there was a friendly and I was playing in it, he would be less interested in the training sessions, if you like. and it's purely, you know, it's because he knows he's the number one at the time. So he's really relaxed with it. So, you know, he'd still work you and whatever, but then perhaps wouldn't do what we would do. You know, we would be doing extra shooting. If he's playing, we'd be doing extra shooting or crossing or doing extra work afterwards, you know, with anybody who wanted to do extra. He wouldn't perhaps, you know, do that.
Had he got his ponytail at this time?
I know this is probably pre-ponytail.
So you must have given him some stick for that. Come on, Dave.
Yeah, you did. But like, it was a big lad, Dave, and if you know, because obviously there was lots of, you know, jokes and talks of, you know, snipping it off and doing things like that. And he said he would basically say, "Look, I'll just fill you in if you do." Sort of.
That's fair enough, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, no problem, Dave. I'll leave
no
you
more questions, Dave.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet the carpet man? Because I know the tea ladies get a lot of credit, but he's Gordon Rowlands, he was called, and he owned the carpet shop in St Blaise. He passed away with cancer quite a long time ago. And yes, I went, obviously, when we found out about everything, you know, Amanda and I would quite often we'd drive back on a Saturday after a game and drive back, and on a Sunday afternoon, we'd go around and have a cup of tea at his house and have a chat, and he would ask how it was going and things like that. So yeah, we had contact with him for quite a while. But then when we moved to London, it's obviously, you know.
It was going well, because 2 years later, after leaving the plastics factory, the first £1 million goalkeeper.
Yeah, surreal.
that's not my valuation, by the way. that was the thing. You know, they sort of said, you know, do you feel any pressure with that? And I was like, well, no, it's not my valuation. You know, I don't think any footballer is worth £1 million at that time. Do you know what I mean? If Bristol Rovers and Crystal Palace agree that, well, that's up to them.
So for them 2 years at Bristol Rovers, did you play every game?
No, I played the first 7 games. I had a bad game at home against Wigan. I remember dropping a cross in the last few minutes on a very wet day, and we lost 3-2. And the next game was Bristol City away, which is the one I was really looking forward to. And Jerry pulled me to one side and said he's playing Tim. So he played Tim for the next 7 games. And then I got back into the team, and then I played every game from there.
There must be a little bit in you, you know, when your second choice, hoping, when the cross comes in, you're thinking, go on, fucking drop it. Go on, drop it.
It's like a devil on your shoulder, isn't it? You don't really want to, but
drop the fucker.
No, it's hard because if you're doing that, you know, and it was more with England that I was second choice. It meant that you were losing the game, or there was a stronger chance of you losing the game. So you want the team to win the game first and foremost. If the goalie doesn't have a great game, yes, it gives you an opportunity. I think that's how.
If you're 3-0 up, you're 3-0 up and there's a cross coming in, you must be thinking, I'm serious.
Yeah.
You're taking a 4-3 win every week, aren't you? And keeper dropping a couple in.
The biggest one was when Rhea came in for Ramsdale, and every time there was something happening in the box, the camera would just pan to Ramsdale, wouldn't it? And you just thought, he's smiling and whatever, but he must be thinking, please, just chuck one in, will you?
I think like England have had 3 greats. You know, we've had Gordon Banks, we've had Peter Shilton, we've had David Seaman, and I think if you're second behind them, you've been a little bit unlucky.
Yeah.
So Dave was great. I would rather him have bad games for Arsenal, to be honest. You know, which would have meant that obviously it'd be better for you know, Palace or Leeds or whoever I was playing with, or Everton or whatever.
In your England career.
And then you can put, you know, if you're doing well, you do put more pressure on him that way.
I mean, we've had Ian on, and we hear a lot about him as a manager, but you played with him at Bristol, Ian Holloway.
Yeah.
How was he as a player compared to how he comes across as a manager?
Very much the same. It's so enthusiastic. He's just full of enthusiasm. Great guy to have in the change room. You know, a real will to win, but gets around everybody. You know, lifts everybody.
Ultra positive.
Yeah, all the time. Positive. Funny.
You ever get too much where you're like, fuck off, Ian. Just leave me alone, mate.
I mean, not me. I was a young lad just broken into professional football. I was keeping my mouth shut, really, and just keeping my head down and working hard. I think he came the second season I was there, or partway through the first season, and he did bring something, you know, as another sort of senior pro. There was only 2 senior pros, Jeff Twentyman and Vaughan Jones, that were there, and they sort of tried to keep the rest of us under control. But, you know, having Ian there as well was good to have that extra, you know, player.
Phenomenal dancer as well. I think that's what impresses much about him. Have you seen him go?
Oh, no, I haven't really seen it. Oh, no, I have seen him in the change room after one of the games too. Yeah, no, I have seen him. He knows a few tunes as well, because he used to lead the singing on the bus on the way home, but you know, I can't repeat some of those songs that he came out with.
We get a few messages on Twitter that we get done a few times, don't we, whether they're true or not. But is it right? Did you put it on Billy Whitehurst's tours? Did you offer him?
No, I certainly didn't offer him.
Better man than no. Someone said you pointed at the car park and said, "Come on, then."
No, I can say that now because he isn't in this room. No. The truth of it was, we were playing for Palace at Sheffield United. We were winning 1-0, few minutes left. You know, Billy Whitehurst comes on as a sub. I had no idea who he was at that point. Ball over the top. I've come out, scooped it up. He slid in very, very close to me, and I've done well to avoid him. And I thought, oh. So again, a minute or two later, back pass. In those days, you could pick it up. I remember it was a bit short, and I ran and I got it. And I could see that he wasn't going to stop, so I've like turned my shoulder, and he's banged into me, and like we've both gone down. And as I'm getting up, he's just giving me a little dig in the face, and so I've reacted to that and sort of, well, what the hell are you doing, sort of thing, and pulled apart, his handbags, pulled apart. He was keener than me. And
did you let him have that one?
But the thing was, the game then finished 1-0.
Next time.
Well, it finished 1-0, and then we're walking in, and I've got Andy Thorne and Eric Young beside me, and they're going, "What the fuck are you doing? That's Billy Whitehurst. Why are you getting involved with him?" And I was like, "What?" And he went, he's crazy, he's bare knuckle fighting on, weekends, he's doing all sorts. I was like, I have no idea. Well, so the game's finished, we've won 1-0, I've shouted, I'm completely happy. Walked into the bar after the game, having a pint, as you do. There with Youngie and Thorny were with me as well. And then they sort of walk away, and then I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's Billy. And he's got Vinny with him as well. And he's gone, "Come on then, big man. You wanted to go out there. Come on, let's go now." And I was like, "No, I'm not quite as up for it now as I was." And he just sort of went, "Okay, do on your pussy," or whatever he sort of said. And I was like, "Oh.
Sorry, Mr. Whitehurst."
Yeah.
So he's come in the bar after and thought, I'm having a bit of this.
Yeah.
You need a backup though.
Well, the two shitbags are fucked off, haven't they? They've seen it coming.
Two centre-halves had done one. Yeah, my big two tough centre-halves had done one. They sort of seen what was happening.
Big lads as well, in their own right.
Yeah, but I think Billy had Billy's aura had walked in the room and they sort of did one.
Was that a big thing in that era, the Billy Whitehursts, where you could maybe take the goalkeeper before?
Yeah, I think so. But on the flip side of it, as the goalie, I always say it's situations. So if the situation, for me, if I'm backpedaling for a cross and you're coming in as the striker and you're coming in behind me, you're going to absolutely wipe me out and try and head the ball and leave as much on me as you can. But on the flip side, if the ball's short and the striker's got his back to goal, as the goalie, you punch the ball. You can, your momentum, momentum might carry you into the player.
I never had you down as a dirty bastard, Nigel. I'm honest with you.
But that's what I learned. I got told that playing in Cornwall with the guys, because they, you're playing those sort of level where they would leave a bit on you, and as a young lad, you were fresh meat, if you like. Game. So, the centre halves of the days were telling me, look after yourself, for goodness sake, what you have to do. And if you get an opportunity, you have to, if you can make them less mobile, that's great for the team, sort of thing. And that's how we were brought up in those days. But on the flip side, it works both ways. So, when you're playing at Plough Lane at Wimbledon and you got Fash going, "Just get it in the mixer, I want this guy," and you're like, "Oh no." But then as the goalie, you just got to keep coming.
Yeah.
You just got to keep coming and hope that you just don't get wiped out.
Stop the cross, the cross.
Yeah. We've had a few keepers on and they always get known to be wrong uns, lunatics. Where are you on the scale of normal lunatic? In terms of
I'm not John Burridge. I'm not Budgie. Budgie came and trained with me at Leeds, and he was crazy. He had that show off mentality. He used to do the handstands and walk on his hands before games and things like that. I'm very much keep my powder dry, because the potential to look an idiot is right there as a goalie. So I tried to stay calm and pretty much normal, but. In training, I like a laugh, the same as anyone. So there's lots of jokes and, games that go on, outside of the game, if you like. But I took the game pretty seriously. I took training seriously. I worked hard in training, but always with a smile on my face. So we'd always be really encouraging amongst all the goalies, really encouraging. Anyone makes a great save, you tell them, great save, great hands, whatever. But then there's Mickey taking if somebody does something silly, there's a lot of banter as well. So I think you work better when you're smiling.
Where were you one getting chipped?
I wasn't as bad as Schultz. Mark Dennis used to tell us that if you chip Schultz would boot your ball. You had to go and get your own ball, and he would boot it miles. But he said he once chased Schultz chased Mark Dennis around a training pitch, threatening to kill him.
You've heard that on Neville Southall as well.
For me, if you're going to chip me, then I want to see you chip a goalie on a Saturday. That might be as much as I would say, if you've got the balls to do it here, I want you to do it on a Saturday. And if you can do it on a Saturday, I don't mind you doing it. But if you're chipping me here and you never try it on a Saturday, then I might get into you a bit.
How was that changing room with Palace with Wright, Mark Bright?
Yeah. Strong characters. Yeah, strong characters, great players. I moved there 89, I would have been 23. I still look back at that person and I'm so naive. I'm quiet. You're playing at the highest level. You think Steve Coppell's the manager. I used to watch him on the telly. It is quite surreal. And then you go into that sort of change room, and it's a South London changing room, and it's a completely different way of life than what I'm used to.
That must be as far away from Cornwall as Barnsley and fucking Africa are. Money.
It was banter and harsh banter, and it's sink or swim. So you had to
eye-opening.
You had to learn to look after yourself in a strong way. Those characters were at the top of it. Brighty would tell stories of like Jim Cannon ahead of him, and Jim would give a little knock to his apprentice if his boots weren't perfect. And Brighty would have been one of the apprentices around that time. So he said, they would be quite tough on their apprentices, where I was like really laid back and not.
Imagine there was a lot of fighting for top spot in that dressing room.
For the mic.
I mean, Righty and Brighty they were brilliant together. A good as striking partnership. In those days, we don't play like that anymore, do we? And everything was great as long as both of them scored. But if one of them scored and the other one didn't, the other one might be a bit quieter.
See, that's different to your attitude with the goalkeeping, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where they're like, nah, fucking hell, we've won 2-0 and I've not scored. He has.
Yeah. There was competition. They got on really well. They were great mates. But there was competition. You could definitely tell one wouldn't be happy if the other one had scored and they hadn't.
That's scandalous, isn't it?
But
is it part of that character that makes you so?
It's what drove them. It's what drove them. They were both great players. Righty was as good a natural finisher, just in training as anybody. He would side foot the ball into the goal. It was just horrible to, when you're as a goalie, you want him to hit it because you've got more chance. But when he's just passing the ball into the net where you can't reach all the time, it was annoying, to say the least. Brighty was an intelligent footballer, so he was, his hold-up play was great. His awareness of other players, bringing other players into the game was brilliant. And Righty thrived off that. But Brighty still liked to score as well, and he did. He got his quota of goals. He wasn't far behind Righty probably every year.
How were you personally at 23 years old? That's professional for 2 years. Bright lights of London, newly married.
Yeah, one of the first days we were there, my wife ventured into Croydon and then couldn't find her way home, so she was in tears because it was like, how do I get home from here? So I was at training, and we were just in a hotel at the time, but you adapt to it fairly quickly. It's easier for me, believe it or not, because you've got teammates straight away, and you're going to training and back. That was literally all I was doing, was going training and back, game and back. So for me, I always had something else going on, but it's often harder for wives and things because they don't know people around there. They don't know the area. They might be at home and have a bit of time and try and sort of find their way around.
It must have been good that you had your wife there as well, because I imagine 23-year-old single lad going to London could have been, it might have knocked you off the straight and narrow.
Yeah,
but if you've got your missus there, you can...
Definitely. I mean, I'm not necessarily a party animal. I like going out as much as anyone, but for me, it wasn't that important all the time to do it. It probably, it was probably a massive thing, having stability to sort of enable to get you best out of your career. I think not to have distractions is probably a good thing.
And how often were the lads going out?
It varied at clubs. There was, you're talking late 80s, early 90s. It
there was a drinking culture for sure. At Palace, there were plenty of players who liked to go out for a drink.
Did they try and knock you in?
Yeah, I used to get pelters. I got pelters probably all the way through my career for not going out. And I'd much rather just either go home and have a few beers or go and have a meal with my family. So we'd have family coming up from Cornwall quite a lot as well. So we would just go to a local pub and just have a normal meal, and then have a few beers and go home. And if you're in bed sort of by midnight, it's probably more advantageous for your career.
Yeah.
You can still have a few drinks, but just at the right time. One of the things I got taught at Bristol Rovers early, Kenny Hibbett said, always drink halves. He said, I don't care if you have 20 halves, but it just looks like you're drinking halves, which I didn't really follow that. But he just sort of said, just stick to pub hours if you're going out, because it's usually after that the trouble happens. So.
How did you get on with Andy Woodman?
Yeah, Woody was great. He was a good guy, Woody. Obviously, Gareth Southgate's best mate. Funny. Got a great sense of humour, Woody. And I mean, the lads used to call him No Eyes in training. So if you get, I know you'd get picked. You're doing your 5-a-side at the end of training or on a Friday or whatever. And if Woody let in a bad goal, No Eyes is here, but he would come back and give some good banter back. So
that's a great nickname for you as well.
Yeah,
Weetabix Hands as well is a good one. Isn't it? Like dropping it in.
What's worse, No Eyes or Weetabix Hands?
Yeah, that was.
I think No Eyes because Weetabix Hands you got there, haven't you? You know what I mean? It's just a tough, hard shot. Because
No Eyes, you got nowhere near it.
He did actually make out as they were shit, Woody, didn't he, when he were on?
Yeah. Oh, you owned it.
Yeah, he wasn't shit, but he played decent level. He played lots of games in Northampton and whatever, and that was probably his level. Do you know what I mean? He loved it at Palace. That was his club.
By all accounts, the players loved him as well.
Oh, he was.
Any trips, get Woody on it.
Yeah, he would come out with the one-liners and and do silly things when you're out and about, and it's just. You need those characters in, when you're, especially if you're away on a trip.
I think he actually made out that he got contracts on it, didn't he? Like, we would another year because he's good. He's good. He'll get the lads going.
Good crack.
He's got no eyes, but fucking give me another year.
What do you remember about them cup finals, the FA Cup finals?
That was pretty surreal because I remember that's obviously the first season I signed for Palace, and we got to the cup final.
Are you straight in, by the way? In the first team?
Yeah, straight in the first team. Yeah, God, if they'd just spent £1 million on me and then not play me,
we've just spent $1 million, not sure about him. Just give him a couple of weeks.
No, I got straight in, but and then we just went. We were struggling in the league, and he got myself and Andy Thorne from Wimbledon, and I think that probably it was the end of November that I signed. So we were probably third or fourth bottom, probably somewhere around there at the time. And then we sort of got to about just below halfway probably by the end of the season. So we probably shored up a leaky defence. But the cup final was just, we had really good draws every time until Liverpool in the semi-final. And then, that was like an absolute epic game, because Liverpool had beaten Palace 9-0 that season.
You were playing that?
No, luckily Perry Suckling was in goal for that one.
No wonder they spent £1 million.
But then, that probably helps.
We can't put fucking No Eyes in, can we?
You then get in and we get to the cup final. I just thought it's going to be like this every year. Never got back to another FA Cup final, So I just thought, this is just going to be ongoing. This will just. Get to a cup final, this is just going to be how it is, sort of thing. And then the next season, we finished third. We finished third in the old First Division. It was the season, I think, that Arsenal and Liverpool, when Michael Thomas scored the last goal. And, we finished third that year, but there was no European football. So had there been European football, then we might have held on to Ian Wright, but then we lost Wrighty the year after that. So, we went from, a team that got promoted, got to a cup final. The following season, we won the ZDS Cup, beat Everton at Wembley, and finished third. That was a big, it's a big thing for a team like Crystal Palace at that time.
But then you lose Wrighty, Jeff Thomas went to Blackburn, and you start losing your better outfield players, and the team starts struggling again.
And then they relegated the next year, was it?
I think we finished maybe like 12th, and then relegated the year after. I think Brighty had gone as well, and then we got relegated. I think we finished 4th bottom on 46 points, but it was 42 games a season then, not 38. And we were 7 points clear of Oldham with 3 games to go. And Oldham had to play Villa away, who was still had a chance of winning the league. We thought we were pretty safe at that point, and Oldham won their last 3 games, and that was it. And we got relegated.
When they've won the last 3?
Yeah, they won the last 3. They beat Villa away when Villa was still trying to win the championship. They beat Liverpool and somebody else at home.
That must have been a tough one.
Oh, yeah.
It was sat there 3 games to go like that.
Half cruising.
Yeah, we won one game, like the 4th to last game at home, and we pretty much thought that was it. We thought we were safe, and no, they pulled it out of the hat, killed us really.
Did you consider leaving, or was there options to leave at that point on after relegation?
No, not at all. I think the focus was just trying to get straight back.
Yeah.
Steve Coppell obviously resigned. Alan Smith took over, and he brought like Gareth Southgate into the team, and sort of it was a different side from the one that I'd gone to, but we managed to bounce back. We won the league. He brought Ray Houghton in, Ray Wilkins. We had Ray Wilkins around the place. Ray Houghton was a great footballer, and we were a strong side, and we won that division pretty easily the next year. So we got promoted again. So it kind of justified staying.
Yeah.
But then to get relegated the next season was a bit of a nightmare. And I did put in a transfer request at that point, because I thought I was probably getting 27, 26, I was probably older than that, 27, 28, something like that. I'm thinking, I need to probably go now. I didn't want to leave, but professionally I felt I had to. But then they offered me a new contract and said, right, come on, let's stay. And
so it worked then.
So
the old transfer request worked.
So
we know you.
Well, it was more about trying to play in the division. So I stayed for an extra year, and then we lost in the playoff final to Leicester when Steve Claridge stuck one in the 93rd minute into the top corner off his shin. And I'm not bitter about it at all. And we didn't get promotion, and then they sold me anyway. So I got a new contract, and then they sold me.
In the end.
And yeah.
Another move, another transfer order.
Yeah, and then we were driving up the motorway to sign for Everton. So I was going to sign for Everton in '96. So, they'd got everything organised. So we drove up and we went to Park Foods. So it was Peter Johnson's, it's where they do Park hampers, but it's like his company. So I was sent there to do it. Joe Raw wasn't there. His wife was really poorly at the time. So quite rightly, he wasn't there. He was at home with her. The chairman was away on business. So there was just a director there to literally do the deal. Really, it was pretty much
supermarket.
No, it was their head office. So it wasn't quite.
Nigel, just aisle 4. You'll find him down there. just buy a fish. Just buy a fish counter. Pick some coffee up if you want that way out.
So we got there and we pulled in, and he came out and shook hands and everything. And my agent said, "Look, before we say anything, Leeds have matched the bid, so I think it's in Nigel's best interest to speak to them as well." So he was like, oh okay, well, come in. So we came in, and he said, "Well, I thought, you were coming to sign." And we were like, well, that's what we thought as well, but, this has happened. So he said, oh okay, let me go and make a call. So he went out the room and he made a call, and he came back in and he said, well, we've got a press conference organised for tomorrow, and it's all meant to be going ahead. So my agent just said, look, Nigel's going to go and talk to Leeds, but his preferred destination is here. My wife's uncle was living in the area, so at least we had somebody we could, be near.
So
and all you're happy with the contract and everything at Everton?
Yeah. You know, what had been discussed, obviously, the contract itself never got put in front of me, but what we discussed and everything. He then went out the room and made another call, and then he came back in. He said, well, if you're going to go, he said, you want to get a move on because we've got to go. You've got to get through the Mersey Tunnel and pick up signs for the M62 if you want to get across to Leeds because it's going to get really busy soon. So he basically...
Give you direction. Fucking head it up then if you're going to go.
So we
he could have stalled you and you could go there in time.
It was strange.
Well, give you £2 for a tunnel.
Well, my agent turned to me and he said, there's no way they should be even... What they should be doing is going, right, this is your new improved contract, sign this and you don't go. And that's what he said they should have done. And I said, well, you know, and he said, go and talk to Leeds. So we jumped in the car, we drove across, we went to Harrogate, went to the Majestics Hotel in Harrogate, and Howard Wilkinson and Bill Fotherby are there. And they were the exact opposite. It was like, right, you're signing for us. So my agent was good. He was like, well, Nigel's just signed a new contract with Palace. He's got 3 years left on that. Palace are saying they're not going to pay him up. So the clubs had to then speak, and then that was all sorted. So Leeds really did everything they could to keep me here, and there was no way I was going back. So at the end of it, I just signed for Leeds.
Joe Royle must have been pulling his hair out.
He wasn't happy.
If he's there, he's not there, and rightly so. But if he was there, there's no way
he wouldn't have let it happen. No.
Yeah.
He's a real football man, isn't he? And he wouldn't have let it happen.
He would have understood the implications if you went through that door.
Yeah, if he would have known as soon as I went out there, Leeds wouldn't have wanted me to come back. So they'll be doing everything they can. So I
left at the roundabout right now. Yeah, just stop at M62. You're in Leeds, mate. Off you pop.
Take a sandwich and a drink.
It was almost like that. I do feel for him a bit because he was just thinking he was just babysitting me signing the deal, and then this has all happened in front of him, and he probably just doesn't know how to deal with that situation, you know, because he won't have come across it before. They said, right, you know, the chairman was like, well, Amanda, I'll take you around all the nice areas in Leeds and show you where you could buy a house.
Felt wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. And included my family as well, which is important.
So you think that'd just be the norm, wouldn't you? We'll sort your wife out, we'll take her here, there and everywhere. I think it does happen more now. There's people at clubs who do it, but back then, just some little things in it.
It is. And I think you do your homework on players beforehand, and you know if they're family orientated, get around the family. If he's a single lad who likes to play golf,
a nightclub.
Well, but imagine he likes his golf. You can say, right, well, there's these golf clubs around here. You know, whatever it takes to get somebody to sign for you, you do your homework beforehand. I think, and then you can make it happen when they do get there, which is what Leeds did. I know my agent fielded a call from Joe Royle, and it was Joe basically calling all the names under the sun. You know, we had a deal, you were going to sign and all that. And my agent was like, well, yeah, but the offer's been made. It's been matched by another club. You know, what would you do in that situation? You would speak to both.
Because there was the rumours that you didn't want to sign for Everton because Neville Southall decided to play another season. Would that be right?
That was the spin I think that they put on the whole situation. That
so basically, they have left you out to dry.
I think the implication was I was too scared to go there because I would be in competition with Nev. I mean, Nev's a great goalie. You wouldn't want that competition. But if I was going there, if I was signing there, I would. It would be for a British record for a goalie. I'd expect to be playing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't expect them to pay that money and go, oh, you can sit on the bench for a year.
They're always going to say, they're not going to say, oh, our fella, just give him directions to Leeds. They're not going to release that in the press, are they? They're going to make you.
Red Jones at Summerfield said
but then from my point of view, then the easiest thing for me to do is just to go and put performances in for your new club, and you sort of show what you can do, sort of thing.
Were you playing them games with you when you scored them?
No.
Before then?
In fact, the season we got relegated at Palace, Leeds beat us 3-1 at Ellen Road, and Tony Yeboah scored 2 goals, and Eric Young came off after the game and went, that's the best striker I've ever played against. And he played internationally for Wales, so he's played against a few, and he said, like, he
Tony Bow had run him ragged, basically, had run him round.
You must have been a little bit gutted that Everton had this big press conference and Howard Wilkinson sat you on a lawnmower.
Yeah, I know. It's not the greatest.
There is underplaying it and there is underplaying it. And fuck it, Nige. We just paid 2.6 million. Just cut us that grass, will you?
For a gardener.
There was a little bit more in the contract. I had to do the groundworks there as well. It's,
Look at his money's worth out in him.
I know, it's not a flattering photo. 'Cause they gave me a goalie top that was about 4 sizes too big, and I remember it sort of like all sat around.
I'm looking at the photo, and we've got a lot of player for 2.6 million there, haven't
It's not a flattering photo. My first pre-season with Howard, we went to Germany probably 2 days after that photo is actually taken. We went to Germany, and Howard, as I found out afterward, as he likes to do when there's a new player, he'll go and just actually work with them a little bit. So we went over to Germany. I've got a new pair of gloves on, pouring with rain, and new gloves back in those days with a wet ball weren't great. You had to just wear them in a bit before they got grippier. So Howard he stood about 6 yards away and he started hitting volleys at me, but he didn't hit them just normal volleys. He was smashing them at me. So he's hit one above my head and I've just put my hands up. It's gone sort of through my hands, hit the crossbar and came back to him and he went, 2.25 million for that, and just walked off.
I can't work with that.
And I was like, what have I come to here? But apparently it was his way of, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. You just do as I sort of say. And it was just his way.
So was the contract at Leeds better than the one at Everton?
It worked out better, yes, because, Palace was supposed to pay me up, but they just turned around and said, well, if he wants to go, we're not paying. So I don't know if Everton would have done that or not, but Leeds certainly bridged the gap between the two.
How long after signing did George Graham come in?
Not long. I mean, Howard, we lost at home to Man U 4-0, and you can imagine how that goes down at Leeds. Leeds Man U is not it's a big game, and we lost at home 4-0, and it was probably our 7th or 8th game of the season.
Right.
And it hadn't been a great start, and that was it. That they pulled the plug then. So as a new player. Suddenly, I remember Mark Beanie, who was the other goalie, went, "There's a new manager coming in now. All gloves are off again. It's all positions are up for grabs again." So I was like, "Yeah, okay." I was a bit, I don't know, but George was brilliant for me, and he was just what the club needed because we leaked goals because we were so open at that time, and George is the complete opposite. So we went from being, letting 2s and 3s in to clean sheets, and it just reflects so well on the goalie. I mean, I was getting 1, 2 or 3 saves a game, and if you made them, it was a clean sheet. He was just so defensive to start with. I think we got 23 clean sheets in that season under George, and it was just
that must be some kind of record.
But I think we also got the record of the team that has least goals and has stayed up.
Yeah,
we finished probably mid-table.
They were fucking fantastic to walk.
Was he getting stick for the way that he played?
Yes, but it was how he did things. He made you very solid at the back, so a strong back four goalkeeper. So he makes that strong, and then he will slowly add to the midfield. And Ian Rush was playing wide right. Lucas Radaby at centre half would be playing in midfield. There might be another centre half playing at right back or left back, so it made me. It reflected really well on me. I got back into the England squad on the strength of it, purely because the amount of clean sheets. You must be playing well. It's really bizarre. You're playing games where you're making you think good saves and you win 2-1 or you win 3-2, and I come off thinking I've had a good game there. Doesn't reflect as well on you as if you had a boring 1-0 win and you've had nothing to do. Oh yeah, he's doing well, he's keeping clean sheets. It's really bizarre how it's viewed from the outside, and it was probably horrible to watch for a season and a half, but it suddenly the next season you're qualifying for Europe, and then the European stuff. I think David O'Leary was fortunate in his timing of taking over that when George went to Tottenham. He took over a team that was already really well organised, had good senior players in it, and had the youngsters. You know, George had brought Harry Kewell into the team. He'd brought Jonathan Woodgate into the team. You know, he was starting to bring those players into the team. But the timing for David was perfect. You know, he was given a working thing that was already qualifying for Europe with good young, you know, really good young players just about to come in as well. So the timing for David was perfect with that. And he managed that situation really well. You know, he gave young players their chance and, they shone.
Did you like him?
David?
O'Leary?
Yeah, he was a good manager. He was always good with me. He would always look after himself first. I think, that's how he did things. And he downplayed it and he tried to take the pressure off the players, my babies and all this. He was great with me.
Where did the nickname Village come from?
Stupidity, doing silly things, doing people's rooms and, on away trips and things like that,
this is the side we haven't seen here.
Yeah.
I think it's about he never got accused. Not me. Nigel. First off the list.
But did you like a bit of the
I loved banter and fun and Mickey taking and jokes. It's a two-way street. You've got to be able to go, yeah, okay, it's me at the moment, but you've got to be able to deflect it off. And football clubs at that time, we used to there was always the, doing people's rooms on away trips at Leeds. I don't know who started it. It may have been Bats, actually, when he came, unscrewing eye holes in hotels and then knocking on the door so you could unscrew from the outside the eye hole, poke the eye hole through. And you used to get the fire extinguisher, knock on the door, look through the hole. You could see the guy coming, and then fire the fire extinguisher through.
Grown men, innit? Grown men.
About 30-year-old at this point.
Yeah. When you look back, you're not proud on it. But there were some ingenious things. Jason Wilcox took one of the one of the panels out the roof and climbed through and came with a bucket of water and took the panel off next door and poured it on somebody in a bed and stuff
another
like
player
that.
or just
another player.
That's next level stuff, that.
Yeah, not just a couple on their anniversary.
Shawshank,
so there was lots of banter like that. Jonathan Woodgate, actually, on a trip, his first England trip. So he's, he's whiter than white. He's sitting there, not saying boo to a goose. He left his key lying, and there was a table tennis table there, and he was off playing table tennis. So me and Bats got his key, and we've gone to his room, and we've just piled all the stuff. We soaked his bed, piled everything, like literally everything in the room is piled up in a big pile on his bed. and like all his kit is like, wet and everything like this. So it's just a little initiation. We've climbed out the window, and he was on the ground floor, and we've climbed back out the window into like an atrium bit where it's glass all the way around. And we've walked back into reception, and Kevin Keegan stood there going, "What are you two doing?" Coming out of there. So we've had to own up to doing his room. And like, Kevin loved all that sort of stuff anyway.
You're in my next squad.
So we'd done his room, and obviously that happened at Leeds. And then obviously he's found out, he's gone into his room and he's seen it. So he's killing himself laughing. It was actually a game that Dave Seaman had injured himself in training. So I'm now I'm now playing this game. So I've actually seen Michelle, who was the lady who organised everything at England. I said, "Michelle, can I have Dave's room?" Because Dave always had a great room, at the front, big room, And she went, "Yeah, of course." So I moved into my room. But what I did do, I left some training kit and a few odd bits of like toiletries in the room I was in. And then I left my key on the table at dinner, and I'm off playing table tennis. And sure enough, out the corner of my eye, I see Jonathan Woodgate pick the key up, my old key to my old room. So he goes in to do the room. So he pours a bucket of water all over the bed. He's ruined the room completely like that. And so we go back, and then we see the manager of the hotel, which we all got on really well with, and we sort of like filled him in on what had happened.
really sorry, but one of your rooms is going to get wrecked this trip.
But this lad, and nobody's in that room because I've moved rooms, you see, but I've left it and he's taken the bait completely. And so we got the manager then to go, who did this? He stood there and Woody's gone, it was me. And he go, how can you giving him a rollicking in front of everyone? And he went, and at the end of it, he went, anyway, Nigel's room's there now, like that, because he didn't know that we'd set him up completely. So it was a good bit of banter. Yeah. So there was a lot of silliness around, and I got involved.
Did you get on with David Batty? Because it sounds like you were, from what we've heard, you're quite similar characters in terms of separating football life and home life.
Bats, I roomed with Bats for quite a while, and Bats would openly say, I'm your teammate, but I'm not your friend. You won't see me again. Once I finish playing, none of you will ever see me again. And I think he's been true to his word. He basically, that was him. He loved his motorbike. He had his family. He had his friends and extended family, and that was his group of people. And I swear he saw being a professional footballer as a chore. It's just something he had to do to pay the bills and earn a bit more money, I guess, and just but it was great while he was
Premier
there.
League on the way.
It's quite an extreme thing to say though at the time, isn't it? Just let you know you're my teammate, not my friend.
Yeah, exactly. But he was open, and that was him. He was just totally.
I'm not your fucking mate.
and he's disappeared off the face of the earth. Nobody sees him. We've got a Leeds United WhatsApp group and things like that, and no sign of Bats on it.
He's muted it.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have a mobile phone, or if it does, it's probably from 1991 with no social media or anything on it.
You were talking to the practical jokes. You weren't involved with the Danny Mills being pushed over in the Portaloo.
Oh, there's another Portaloo one because it was my wife's 30th birthday, and we had a marquee in the garden, and we had some Portaloos. And there was players going in there, and the Portaloo got shoved over with one of the players, and it went through the fence into next door.
That might be it, is it?
Is that the one?
I don't know. I don't know if it was Millsy. I mean, I was, I don't know. I know it got pushed over.
Was Danny Mills walking round blue?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It definitely happened at that party that we had. So I don't know if it's the same one. If it happened at England, I wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
But
Again, grown men.
Yeah.
It's a 30th birthday party.
You can see it happening as well. Everyone's like, somebody's going in. Don't look. You wait for the door to shut. Count to 5, and then all run over. It's just childish but fun.
What's your favourite Gary Kelly story?
Kells. I love Kells. He's one of those guys that will do anything for you off the pitch. He'll do anything for you on the pitch. I've seen Gary Kelly on the floor, and somebody just about to take a shot and him just sticking his head in front of the ball. He's that guy for you. He'll do anything for you on and off. He used to give my kids like £1 after every game. Just a genuinely lovely guy.
I know your dad's a tight bastard.
Yeah, genuinely lovely guy. Funny as. I can remember one Christmas do. It was Cowboys and Indians. Kells had shaved both sides of his head but left a Mohican haircut, and he's got a plastic axe in his hand. And we've come out of a bar and the Christmas do, and we've come out of this bar and a bus has pulled out right opposite. And Kells has walked out straight onto the bus, and he's threatening to take the hair off of the driver, who scalp the driver absolutely. And the driver is absolutely like bricking himself. Oh, what's going on? So we've had to just drag him off. But that was he's just crazy. Just do stupid, crazy things.
I can get you in bother that.
Yeah, well, today. I mean, luckily, there was a whole load of cowboys who pulled him off the
bus. You're all right, drive, we'll get him.
Yeah, and I think they quickly understood that it was just a load of lads. But you can imagine
when it Kells run up the car.
I think it was maybe another Christmas do.
Just run up and across cars and stuff.
Yeah, he would do silly things like that. He just
grown men.
You know what it's like. It's how people try and outdo what the next person's just done, and it's like it gets worse and worse. But I don't think I can remember it going too far. Not that I know of.
A quick stop, gents. Only a very, very quick pause. Just to say a massive thank you to O'Neills Sportswear for sponsoring this series. And not just sponsoring the series, but creating these absolutely impeccable, incredible, magnificent, beautiful Undr The Cosh 2024-2025 season kits.
Big statement, but I don't think we've ever looked so good. What do you think, John?
The quality, the design is second to none. There's a link in the description if you want to get yourself. Can you imagine strutting down the high street? And I think these are like honey and hunt magnets as well, depending on your preference.
Yeah.
First date tackle, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh, aye.
Pair of jeans, cargos.
Pair of jeans, one of our shirts, job done.
And there's also a second link in that description because you can kit your own team out as well. Mm-hmm. 5-a-side, or maybe just a few shirts for your mates, because minimum order, innit?
Yeah,
minimum order of 12. Maximum, you can, order as many as you want. Under 5s to the under 21s, the first team reserves, get the lot in.
So you can get your fully
bespoke, custom design kits, and from design to delivery, how long do you think? 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh.
Sharp.
That is good.
So yeah, that link's in the description. Get your team kitted out, or get the Undr The Cosh kit, or both. Get yourself involved.
What's your favourite game in a Leeds shirt?
Probably AC Milan at home. We played AC Milan, poured down. I remember we were in a hotel in Leeds, and we were walking out the meeting room, and I was the last person out, and David O'Leary was just in front of me. And I remember I looked out the window, and there was a takeaway place, and it was called the Italian Job. And I just tapped him on the shoulder and I said, look at that, the Italian Job, that's what we've got to do tonight, sort of thing, and just sort of laughed it off. I think they had Shevchenko and Bierhoff up front, and I think Danny Mills played centre-half that day, and Don Matteo, because we were short of centre-halves. And we beat them 1-0 when Lee Bowyer shot and Dida, the Brazilian keeper,
no eyes.
Patted
no eye went to Bix wrist Dida.
Did an Andy Woodman impression and patted the ball down between his legs and into the goal. And we won 1-0. But I think that was probably the loudest I ever remember, like a stadium being. They were just absolutely on it for us. AC Milan, sort of kings of Europe, really, and we're just sort of little old Leeds who've just qualified for it, and to beat them was incredible.
What were Carlton like?
CP was good, brilliant, good lad. I like Carlton. Worked his socks off for the team. Not short of confidence.
Oh, he's a big fan of his own work, Carlton.
He is a big fan of his own work. He backed it up. When he went out there, he was a fighter for you. He fought and scrapped and, did everything you'd want.
I think you're a better player than what you got credit for.
I think he was. He got into the England team. He would very rarely lose his battle in a game. Whoever he's playing against, he would win. He was just awkward to play against. He would tackle, he would block, he would get everything. Probably his downside was he probably thought he was a lot better than he was. So he would then try and do too much with the pass. He would say things like, "Yeah, I love hitting like a 60-yard pass with a bit of backspin on it, so it can get past the centre halves, and then the bit of backspin will take in, so it'll hold up for the striker and things." So he was like, visualising doing these sort of passes and things, but obviously not always capable of doing it. But
getting ambition and ability mixed up.
Yeah, a little bit, but I did love him. And I thought he at Sheffield Wednesday, he was just awkward. He was always in the way. He broke things up a lot. And then when you played with him at Leeds, you see him doing it for your team. It's like, it's good.
You mentioned the AC Milan game, but a few people said that Roma away was the best performance they'd seen of a goalkeeper in a Leeds shirt. Would you agree with that?
It was one of those nights. I mean, I had lots to do. I would have been disappointed if I'd let any of them in. So, when you have a lot to do, it kind of reflects well on you. But I don't think there was anything, I've made saves sometimes where I thought, that was quite good. I'm pleased with that. I think that was just an all-round good performance. I caught the ball well. I made saves. I tipped over, whatever I had to do. But I don't think there was any of them that, I think if I'd let a goal in on any of those things, I'd have been disappointed, I think.
Can I ask you about the Galatasaray episode?
Yeah.
just from the off, I think I've heard you speak before about it was intimidating as soon as you landed.
Yeah.
And we just talked about how you found out it all happened.
It's my biggest regret in football is we played the game. Without doubt. I mean, you know, our supporters, football supporters are brilliant. They go away and support you. You know, you've all been at clubs where they just turn up and, you know, those guys went out there to watch us play a game of football, and you know that's some things are more important. You know, we heard about it in the evening. We'd all gone back to our rooms, so it was later. It was later on in the evening. We'd all gone back to our rooms. You know, some people were actually asleep. You know, and then there's lads out in the corridor, and you know, there's knocks on doors, and everyone goes out and said, "Look, 2 of our lads have been killed over here," and we were all watching the TV and stuff like that. And then the next day, the chairman came and said, "Look, you know, we've got to play the game. You know, UEFA have told us we have to play the game, so we're going to play the game." And now, I wish I'd just gone, "Do you know what? I'm not." And I don't know, but maybe a few more might have said it. And if they'd have kicked us out of the competition, I think it would have reflected worse on them than it would have done on us. And I really wish that now we'd gone, no, we're not playing.
Did you have a meeting amongst yourselves?
Yeah, well, we had a meeting, you know, the manager had a meeting and we discussed it all. And, you know, there was talk of not wanting to play. And then the chairman came and said that he's been in contact with UEFA, the game has to go ahead and we have to play. And it's one of those things where we've responded to authority, you know, and I'm always for that, but there is an occasion where you don't. And I remember going, so we get to the ground, we probably a mile out, the police are running alongside us and they've got guns. You know, the police are carrying guns and they're running alongside the bus, probably for a mile. And we're getting pelters all the way along. And then we go in, we get ready, we go out and warm up. It was Steve Sutton, the goalie coach, Robbo and myself. And we're going to go out and there was some police at the end of the tunnel, and you go down the tunnel and then it's up some steps to get on the pitch. And they were there with riot shields and they said, stop, you know, like this. And then they had 2 rows where they had riot shields vertically and then at sort of 45 degrees to sort of try and make like a tunnel for us. And as we ran out that first bit, everything was lighters, coins, stones, everything was just getting thrown at us and whatever. And they sort of did the tunnel, probably 6 or 7 people, and then you just kept running. And you just sort of went out to a sort of cacophony of whistles, high-pitched whistles and things like that. And I remember turning to Steve Sutton and I said, I've never been more desperate to win a game than I am today. The downside was they had a bloody good football team. They had some good players. You know, they were a good side. You know, they beat ourselves over 2 legs and they beat Arsenal in the final. You know, they were no mugs. But just being there and those 2 lads getting murdered like that, we shouldn't have played. We shouldn't have played. Kick us out, whatever, ban us for, you know. But you know that there's always a financial aspect. That's the thing.
I think that it's a fickle game, football, and I mean, that could have obviously ended up going a bit wrong financially at Leeds, but that could have killed the next 4 or 5 seasons, couldn't it? If you got kicked out and.
Exactly, and I would imagine that would have been the threat that would have been said to the chairman, and the chairman's why he was so adamant we had to play, you know, because he'd spoken to the UEFA officials and they've told him the game's got to go ahead.
From UEFA's perspective, there's a lot of things that are much more important than football.
Yeah.
And from their standing,
yeah,
it would have been the right thing to do.
The right thing to do is say, right, game's off, we'll find a neutral venue, we will play the game at a neutral venue, and, you know, it could have been arranged. You know, those guys went over to support us and had been on many trips to support us, and you know, they didn't come back, and that's not right.
They haven't been forgotten though, have they?
No, and that's the thing, you know, and that's the fans are brilliant here. The club's obviously great with it as well, you know, keeping their memory alive and keeping them part of the sort of family of Leeds United.
I did want to speak about O'Leary's book. When did he bring that out?
Yeah, it was. I think just at the time, just after the Bowyer Woodgate thing, when they were on trial. He probably saw an opportunity. Probably wanted to do a book. Saw an opportunity to do a book.
I don't know where to finished.
But yeah, I think the timing was wrong, and probably I don't know. I've not spoken to him about it, but possibly he might have regretted doing that at that time because it's everything was still fresh.
Cause not necessarily trouble, but in the dressing room,
I think
disruptive.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Like as a player, if you're not directly involved, you kind of think, well, it's not going to affect the team, and how's it going to affect the team? But it does. If there's ever any scandal or anything around a team, results go through the floor, and it's like, I don't know why that is, because you're still feeling like, as other players, you're still feeling, I still want to go and win this game, but it has an effect, and the whole thing with that at that time had a sort of detrimental effect at the club, and financially, as players, we didn't know what the club was spending. We presumed, I think Sky had put 10 million quid in. I think Lurpak had paid us 10 million or something for the stand, to naming rights on the stand, and so you saw money coming in, so you presumed that was covering what was going out, but obviously it wasn't. And then financially, I think we qualified for Europe, but not the Champions League. So the year after the season of our Champions League run, we only got through to the UEFA Cup, and financially that wasn't enough. And that's when
How do you look back on those financial risks that the club or Risdale took?
It's frustrating. I mean, as players, you're not necessarily aware of what's happening. You're just turning up, training, going, playing. We were buying players. I think the thinking behind the whole thing is we've got to third in the league. We now want to try and challenge Man United and Arsenal. We want to be on a par with them, and to do that, we have to, buy players.
It's just a erratic decision, mate. Like, Casino, put it on red. We're going to go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit,
I mean, we spent a lot on players, but we bought Robbie Fowler, great footballer, but you got to ask yourself, why are Liverpool selling to a rival?
It's 12 million quid.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of money, and Robbie was. I mean, I've been on the receiving end of Robbie many a time in a Liverpool shirt, and that guy can score goals for fun. He came to us with a hip injury, and his mobility wasn't as good as it could have been. We saw in flashes of how good he was when he in a Leeds shirt. He played some really good games for us, but he wasn't as mobile as he was, when he was younger. And Liverpool probably saw that and thought, well, 12 million quid for him is good money.
And who was the other strikers when they brought Fowler in? Who were the other strikers at the club already?
Viduka
was there. Alan Smith was still there.
Darren Huckerby.
Hucks was there. Yeah, It was another name to have up front. Mark Viduka was a great striker for us. Again, not the most mobile player, but you get the ball up to him, they couldn't get the ball off him. He was so strong holding the ball up. He was great. Smithy was great. We had good players, but we kept buying new players. We bought Seth Johnson. We bought Michael Dewberry. They kept adding and adding and adding, and they, as good as players as they were as good as what we had. What we needed to buy was better. So when we bought Rio, that was a really good buy. He was obviously always going to be worth a lot more than that. So that, for me, is a really good player. You've bought a really good young player who's going to have sell-on value if you need to do it. Other players perhaps didn't elevate us to where we needed to be to compete regularly with Man U. And I think they just kept doing it, and it probably just ran out of money.
I mean, we've had Michael Dewberry on and he spoke about everything that happened. How was it for somebody that wasn't involved but got on, well, I'm assuming, with everybody that was involved that season?
Yeah, it was strange because it was all going on and it was all, on the news. It was front page news, really. I mean, it's frustrating because you don't want your team to be for the wrong reasons. It just shows what can go wrong on a night out. So,
better in the local pub, aren't you? A couple of pints for the family, no trouble.
Kind of, but this was going on, and Dubes gets a lot of stick for his involvement in it, but Michael was just trying to look out for a friend as far as what we saw. It was really strange because you saw players who were really good mates not speaking to each other, not being able to speak to each other, had to be kept well apart. Woody wasn't at the ground. We barely saw him. Lee came and was carried on playing, and Michael had been dragged into it really, and he was probably the innocent one in the party. He got a phone call, can you come and pick me up, sort of thing, and he did that, and then he sort of had to say, was asked if he would say that he didn't do it, and then the police show him pictures of, is this you driving in? Is this you picking up? So he's turned around and said, yeah, okay, I did.
He'd not got a choice then, had he?
No, he didn't. And basically, he was then, talked about as being a grass and whatever, but there was no point Michael going to prison for something he hadn't done. You know what I mean?
I think that was it. Just before he went into court, somebody had said to him, if you go with this, you're going down.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous because, he got a phone call, can you come and get me? Yeah, I'll come and get you. Right, now can you say that you didn't? It's very...
Not on really, is it?
No, and it's not on for everyone to blame him.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Leeds...
put in that position in the first place.
Yeah, there was a lot of Leeds fans who felt that he was being a grass because he just turned around and had to say in the end, yes, I did drive in.
I'm singing like a canary. Are you threatening me with jail?
I'm not
nowhere near.
I'm not answering my phone at that time.
But then, inside the club, you then got players not speaking to players, and it's like, it's frustrating. All you want is for everyone to just be as it was before.
Especially it did sound like you were really close. Everybody was.
Yeah. We were going in the right direction. We were qualifying for Europe every year. I think sometimes you get to a ceiling, and it'll carry on happening. All clubs think that they have the right to be higher than they are. You finish where you deserve. At the end of the day, somebody's got to finish first. You might want to. You might spend millions or billions on it now, and it still might not happen. You can't guarantee it to happen. So you finish where you finish, don't you?
Was the fallouts when it came to an end for you at Leeds with Terry Venables? Am I right in saying that?
No, it wasn't great. That wasn't a great...
So what do you do when everything goes up, tits up financially at Leeds? Yeah, fuck off to Everton, don't you?
Well, my situation was... so I played every game that season for Leeds. Got lucky enough to get picked in the World Cup squad. Went to Japan and Korea. Came back after the tournament, got to the quarterfinals. Came back after that tournament. Had 12 days off. And had to report for pre-season training. So it's not long enough. The Arsenal players, the Man U players get 1 month from the day you're knocked out. See you in a month. Understand that players need to have time away to recuperate and come back stronger. 12 days, report in. David O'Leary had been sacked. Terry was the manager, but Terry wasn't in at the club at the time. Eddie Gray was taking training. I've come in, I'm training with Steve Sutton and Robbo, and had a couple of days training, and then I think Eddie said, we're going on a trip to Australia, China, and Thailand. So I was like,
might as well stay in Japan.
I've literally just that. I've just come from there. I need a break. So I said to Ed, I went, Ed, can I not go on that trip? I've just come from that part of the world. I'm knackered. I want to be at home. I want to have a bit of time with my family, and for getting the best out of me for you, it's best if you leave me here. So he said, I don't think the new manager's going to like that. I said, well, just speak to him, will you? So he spoke to him. Next day at training, I was training. It was wet. I was covered in mud. Me and Robbo were working hard with Steve Sutton pre-season, going through it again. Eddie comes jogging over. Get yourself in. The manager's ringing you in 15 minutes. So I got my shorts, T-shirt, walk in. Manager's secretary is sitting there, and she went, just go through there. Terry will be ringing you in the next 5 minutes. Just sit in his room. So it was manager's room. Just sit in there. So I'm stood there waiting. Phone rings. Picks it up. Hi, Nigel. Terry. I said, hi, Terry. He said, what's this? You're not coming on the trip? So I said, look, you've been England manager. I said, I've played every game last season, not missed a session, training, gone straight to a World Cup. I've come back. I'm knackered. I need a break. If you want me at my best, just let me do that. And he went, I can't have a senior player dibbing out of this. If you don't come on this trip, you're never going to play for Leeds United again. Put the phone down. So I was like, oh, okay. So I walked out and I said to his secretary, I went, where is he? He's been manager for like a week now, but he's still not here. Where he's just filming Wish You Were Here. That was her answer to me. Like,
wish you were here, Terry. I can bloody tell you.
So I've jogged out, and I've gone back. I've put my training kit back on, and I've gone out, and I've said to Suts, and he said, how'd that go? And I went, not great. I said, Robbo, you're playing next season. He went, no way. And I went, honestly, he's told me that's it. I'm done.
So you're not going?
So I'm not going. No, I've told him. I'm not going on the trip. So he said, if you don't go, you'll know.
And is the part of you thinking, oh, should I go?
No.
Actually,
do you know what? I at that time,
adamant.
I said to myself, the way I'm feeling now, I don't care, and that's
a sign that you are. At your
I was at the end of it, and I needed a break. So I still had to go in training every day. So they went off on the tour and did everything, and he had Danny Milosevic was the Australian keeper. He was the third keeper, so he moved up as number 2 to Robbo, and they went out and played the tournament and wherever. Came back. I still wasn't training with the first team. You're over there on your own. He didn't speak to me. The season was nearing, and then on the Thursday before the first game of the season, Terry spoke to me the first time, and he said, I'm putting you on the bench on Saturday. And that was it. You're on the bench for Saturday, and he just walked off. So not only he'd pissed me off, but he'd now pissed Danny Milosevic off, who thought he was going to be on the bench. And but he hadn't told Danny. So I go over to Danny and I went, I'm really sorry, mate, but I'm on the bench on Saturday. And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. He was really down, Dan. He was a really nice guy. And he was really down. And I went, sorry, it's just what it is.
I think you're in a position of strength, though, aren't you, when you're saying, well, sound, no bother. Because you're England number 2, aren't you? Do you know?
Well, that was me out the England squad then. I was the England number 2. I know the Brazil game, David, he'd injured his shoulder 5 minutes before half-time in that Brazil game. And David James and myself were warming up, and Clem was saying, get yourself ready, you could be coming on here. So quarter-final of the World Cup, you're thinking, I need a good warm-up quickly, so you're handling the ball and everything. And then Dave comes out, and he's sort of like, he's moving his shoulder around. He goes, and I'm like, you okay? And he went, yeah, I'm okay. Like that. And then the Ronaldinho goal goes in.
Think that were a little bit selfish for Dave?
No, I don't think it was nothing to do with being injured.
Right.
It was purely a ball that had been hit. And I trust Dave's instinct on that because he's such a good goalie. You are such a good goalie.
I think you'll get the firmer hand to that, Nigel.
But this is the thing. Lots of people say this. If you'd have been playing, you'd have tipped it over. Maybe I would, maybe we'll never know. But could you imagine if that had happened to me, that goal had gone in over me? David Seaman would never have done that. Do you know what I mean? And you would have been, I'd have been the absolute villain in that situation. But, you know, it's just how football pans out. But, you know, that was the end of me at Leeds, really. And Peter Reid came in afterwards and he said to me, whoever does best in pre-season, so the next season, whoever does best in pre-season starts.
Did you not play a game all season?
No, I sat on the bench all season. I just got on with it. Just carried on training. I actually said to Steve Sutton, because I think the thought was in just about everyone else that was probably my career done, but it wasn't in my mind. I kept saying to Steve Sutton, "I'm working hard here, mate, because I'm working for my next employer now." That's how I felt, and it was like a whole season of that. And you know, I did doubt that myself a little bit because I thought somebody might come in, and nobody did. And then the start of next season, Peter came in. Or he came at the back end of the season and just kept us up. And then he said, whoever does best in pre-season starts for me. You know, he said, it's none of this.
Clean slate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought, great. So me and Robbo played 2.5 games each. I let in 2 penalties. Robbo let in 6 goals. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm happy away.
Get in, Robbo.
Yeah. I was thinking, you know, this is going to be good. And then about a week before the season starts, he rings me. I'm driving home. I'd picked Thomas and my daughter Faye up from school, and I'm in the car with my wife, and the 4 of us are driving home. And the phone goes, and it's Peter Reid, and he goes, "Oh, hi Nigel. Just ringing to say I still haven't made up my mind, but I'm going to give Paul the number 1 jersey, and you're going to have 13. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow." And put the phone down like that. And Amanda looked at me and went, "Well, if he hasn't made up his mind, why is he now the number 1? I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
We've been here before.
Right, let's ring him back. So I rang him back, and he
That's
just...
a text one as well, and it put it
They seem to do that, don't they?
So I rang the number back, and obviously eventually I got put through to him, and he goes, "Yeah, hi Nigel." He said, you know, "Is everything all right?" And I went, "Look, just be honest with me, you know, like if you..." And he went, "To be honest," he said, "like, you know, Paul's, you know, done well, and he's come in and he's worth £2 million." And he said, "Villa are in for him and Tottenham are in for him." So he said, "Yeah, I've got to play him because we're trying to sell him because we need the money." So I was like, okay, well, at least you're finally being honest with me now. You know, I'd rather know, and I'll deal with it. I might not be happy with it, but I'll deal with it. Yeah. But, you know, if you're keeping somebody's hopes going, knowing full well that they're not going to do it. And then I thought, you know, this is getting really bad. And then out of the blue, I got a call from Chris Woods, and he said, like, "Would you come to Everton?" Because he was the goalie coach there. And he said, like, you know, Moyes is not that happy with Richard Wright. He's got a knee injury. He felt like he'd let him down at the end of last season. And, you know, would you come? And I was like, "Woodsy, I'm desperate to play."
What age are you here?
I'm 37. I just turned 37 in the August, and this was probably in August. So, you know, I probably just turned 37. So I went, yeah, of course. So it went on for a couple of, you know, we played the first couple of games of the season, and then it was getting close to the 1st of September.
So surely now you're thinking, I hope Richard Wright has a shitter. Surely on the, you don't particularly know him. You don't even know him.
No,
Right, he'd drop a couple in.
He did have a knee problem. So, you know, and he wasn't playing. He wasn't in the team. So Steve Simonson had played a couple of games, and I was like, what's going on? And then there was a contact, and, you know, go over. And I went over and signed for them. And Righty played the first game I was there. I was on the bench, and Righty played, and he played about 18 minutes, and then he came off. He admitted to me afterwards, he said, "I only played because I was just trying to keep you out of the team." He said, I shouldn't have even started. He said the knee was gone. He had to go off to America to get his knee done. So, like, Moyes said, "Look, you come in the team." He said, "If you do well, when he's back, if you do well, I will keep you in the team." So I was like, okay, I'll go with that. And you know, as a team, we struggled. We finished 4th bottom. Got all the Player of the Year stuff. Felt I did really well. Next season came around, right, he's had his op. He's back and fit and ready, and Moisey stayed with me.
Was there any sort of, from the press, Everton press, fuck me, he's 37. Why are we signing a 37-year-old?
Not that I saw. I'm sure there was, you know, I don't know. You know, Moisey could have spun it anyway. He could have just said in the end, look, I'm just buying experience cover until Wrighty's knee was better. But then, you know, I've done well. The next season, you know, we finished 4th that year. We finished above Liverpool. They won the Champions League, but that kind of spoilt it because, like, you know, it's, you know what it's like in the city. You're just, you know, you're trying to go for top dog. We finished 4th that year, and I felt I had a really solid season. And you know, he gave me another year's contract. And I was like, I felt really good. I was training hard.
Do you think your experiences at Leeds played a part in that, though? You had that 2 years where you were almost down in the dumps, but you've been given a new lease of life.
Yeah,
you wanted to keep going and going.
Looking back, you know, you can see why some players jump from club to club to club to club because it's a new challenge every time. So you've got a new set of fans to win over, a new set of teammates to win over, a new manager to win over. It kind of lifts you again. You know, if you've been at a club, I was probably 7 years at Leeds, and I don't know, you're kind of used to the place. Whereas you get a new, it gives you that extra 10% or whatever it was. And I remember just going there and just loving it.
The love that we got from Everton fans on Twitter and everything.
Yeah, and it was 2.5 seasons because I started in the October getting pain in my ankle, played October, November, December with the ankle was really, really painful. And I remember there was a few games and we won a couple of 1-0s and we had Arsenal at home. And he said, if we get a win there, we should be safe. So we won that game 1-0 and I played really well. And then he said, can you play next week in the FA Cup? We've got Chelsea at home. He said, you know, and then we'll go and get you sorted. And it was the end of January. And we played and we drew 1-1, and that was Mourinho's Chelsea. It was, you know, and I had a really decent game. And he said, right, look, let's not put you through any more of this. Let's go and get it sorted. So I had x-rays, all fine. I had an exploratory operation. Couldn't really see anything there. Then they did a CT scan, and the CT scan found that I had a stress fracture through my talus that was going right down through the middle of it. So you couldn't really see it other than a CT scan was the only thing that could pick it up. And it was basically, you know, that ankle's just going to fall to bits in a minute, you know. So I was playing probably 3 months with a stress fracture in it, which, you know, meant that at the end of it, it just wouldn't heal. So that was it then. That was the end of my career. Moisey was like, he actually offered me a contract for the next year and said, well, let's just see if something, you know, miracles can happen. We'll give you a contract. I said, I can't take your money if I'm not going to be fit. If I know
Nigel.
I know. Yeah,
I'd advise you're totally different on that now. Let's take a 2 year with him. Take a 2 year.
Yeah, but he was brilliant with me.
There was Thomas Gravison.
Crazy. Absolutely. I mean, what a footballer. I mean, I've never seen... You won't say that he's quick. You won't think of him as quick. But if he could dribble with the ball and people couldn't keep up with him, it was like he was dribbling and players were running alongside and falling behind. He was quicker with the ball than he was without it. Absolutely unbelievable player, but mad as a box of frogs. You know, he would literally, you'd have a good win or whatever, and you'd go in the shower afterwards and you'd be like, you know, having a shower. Thomas would come in, get one of his shower gel or whatever, all over himself, just cover himself, and then he'd want to fight you in the shower. And like, you just see lads running out the shower, just like, no, leave me alone, go away. He's just so uncomfortable. But he was just hilarious, just off the scale, crazy.
And did Moyes like that? Because Gordon Strachan hated him, didn't he, up at Celtic?
It's you do it at the right time. You get a good win. You know, manager's not going to moan. You know, if he was doing it and you just got thumped 4-0 by Liverpool, I think there'd be a different. You know, I think it's timing, and he was just absolutely crazy.
We had the pleasure of having Kevin Campbell on, and I mean, even lads that have played with him, you know, that much respect for him.
Yeah.
When we put the questions out, every club that he played for, the fans were just
lovely, man.
And what was he like in the changing rooms? And
just a great guy. Just somebody that you just instantly respect. Speaks really well, speaks nicely, would go and give your wife a kiss on the cheek. How are you? Go and speak to your kids. Just an all-round really nice man. Good footballer as well, you know. He's not another striker who scored plenty past me. But just, yeah, everyone loved him. Everyone at the club loved him, you know, Everton when I was there. And the fans loved him. And he wasn't necessarily playing every week. Didn't hear a word from him. You know, there was never a negative moan about him not playing or anything like that. He was always just ultra positive and just really nice guy. Yeah, that's really sad.
It's good looking at your England career. 23 caps overall. Yep. Glenn Hoddle, Kevin Keegan, Sven. Who was your favourite of the three?
Depends what you mean as favourite. Well, Graham Taylor gave me my first one. But the one I liked playing for the most was Kevin Keegan.
Yeah.
For his enthusiasm, and, you know, he was one that would make me want to run through a brick wall for him because of his enthusiasm and his love for his players and you know, his love for his country as well. He was a very passionate, you know, you could see how he did so well at Newcastle. Now the Newcastle boys loved him as well because he was a player's manager. I think Glenn probably tactically was the most astute. I wonder if the World Cup had been 97 and not 98, whether we might have gone very close in that competition. We played that the Tournoi, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it called in 97 when Gaza was still you know, at his powers. And you know, we won that with, you know, Brazil, France, Italy, and ourselves, and we won that tournament. And you get France and Brazil in the final, the thing a year later, and Gaza's not even involved. You know, he probably just peaked and was on his downhill from his career. You know, you just wonder if that had happened a year earlier, whether we would have gone closer.
I've heard people speak about the meetings that he's had. You know, when he was announcing the squad for that, and Gaza obviously hit the roof. But did you just get 5-minute?
Yeah, there was a flip chart, you know, that used to write all the things, you know, the flip charts that you'd have had you know, before games, you know, when the managers are putting up all the formations and things. And it was basically everyone just had a time slot. I remember Dave Seamans was the first one. So obviously it's, yes, you're in, Dave.
Fucking hell, Dave again.
It was probably like 9 o'clock and then it was like 10 past 9, 20 past 9, did it like this. And, I think I was around like, I don't know, 10:30, something like that. You couldn't
gauge it.
You couldn't gauge what was, you know, good or
bad.
bad.
Mixed and match. You couldn't say, yeah, all the first lot are yeses.
What, in sort of position order? Goalkeeper, right back, centre half, centre half?
No. It was just jumbled up completely. And, you know, I went in and with my conversation was, right, you know, how are we going to manage having the birth of your second child in the middle of this tournament? You know, that was how he was. You know, yes, you're in the squad. Now we need to work out how we're going to do this.
That takes longer than 10 minutes, so there's people congregating in the corridor.
We had a longer conversation later about that, but that was basically his thing. Yes, you're in the squad. We just need to get the logistics of everything sorted. And
you were telling us before you had to get a private jet home.
Yeah, so the FA had chartered a private jet for me to take me home. We unfortunately we had a miscarriage and then son Thomas, and then we'd had 3 more miscarriages, and this pregnancy was very managed. So the guys in Leeds were they're brilliant, and he said, right, the baby needs to be born in this week window, and it's sort of pretty much in between. It was Romania and Colombia games in the qualifying group stage. So we'd won our first game, okay, and then we'd lost to Romania in the second game. And the day after, I flew back on this private jet, 2 French pilots and me in an airplane. It's quite surreal. Flew back.
Do you just get your own drinks then if there's no trolley?
There were 2 bottles of water. There were 2 big seats at the back and 2 seats facing, and I just sat in one of the ones at the back. There were 2 bottles of water there, so I helped myself to them.
You must have been checking cupboards.
Yeah.
looking for Canastella.
Yeah, there was certainly no alcohol around anywhere at that point of the whole, with England, probably for weeks leading up to and everything. There was barely any fat in any of the food. I was losing weight at quite a rate, and you were literally eating as much as you could eat. But the training was hard, and it was just preparation for a World Cup.
You could have a Burger King if you're getting on a plane, though.
Well, not on one of these, you don't know. So I flew back, and my wife's dad picked me up literally from the runway because the press were everywhere, and drove me home. The press were outside the house, and we sort of, they're asking for quotes, and I'm like, well, I got nothing to tell you really, you know why I'm here. Next morning went in, and Faye was born at 9 a.m. I think it was 5 hours later. I was going back to Leeds Bradford Airport. Amanda's mum had cooked me a homemade Cornish pasty, which was wrapped up in some tin foil and hidden in the bottom of my bag.
Contraband.
Contraband.
Tin foil's a bad idea.
Not taking no fags or ale back. I've just got a Cornish pasty under.
Absolutely. I got back. The 2 French pilots said, how did it go? I said, I've had a little girl. Fantastic. Hugs from them. Gave me a bottle of French champagne, which was a really nice thing to do. That went into the bag next to the pasty. Flew back into a very small airfield, probably a 20-minute drive to our training camp. Walked in. The evening meal had just sort of finished. Walk in, lots of cheers, hugs, that sort of thing. Asked if I wanted anything to eat. I said no, I've already eaten on the plane. I lied. I walked back into my own little room and opened a bottle of champagne and ate a Cornish pasty, which, as a proud Cornishman, it probably doesn't get any better than that. And the next day, Ray Clement said to me, he said, "You've trained like an absolute demon. You should have children more often," sort of thing. And I actually felt like I was saying, well, it's because I've got some energy because I've had some proper food. But
like the Cornish pasty, I'm half of her, Ray.
Yeah, it was just like it was just a private moment, but just really, it was lovely. And then she was 8 days old when I got back from there.
We had one from Alan Sutton, the ex-Leeds physio.
Yeah, so
he said...
sausage fingers.
Well, he said to ask about taking 20 quid off an Aussie rugby league player about him scoring a penalty.
Yeah, I did. Well, I didn't take it off him. He scored the penalty. I'd ruptured my adductor longus kicking a ball. So that's like basically one of your groin muscles. As I kicked the ball, I ruptured it. And the Aussie Rugby League, cheers, Sooty, for dropping that. And, so the Aussie Rugby League team were over, and they were obviously playing England, and they were playing at Headingley, and they came to the training ground. I think I'd been out for something like about 8 weeks at this point. And I was working with Sooty, and I was doing some diving and some very controlled work, sort of return to play stuff. And one of the guys came over and said, can I take a penalty against you? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I just finished this session, and Sooty was like, I don't think you should. I said, I won't do anything silly. So the guy came up to take a penalty, and I just started to move to my right because I knew that's the side he was going to kick it. It was just so obvious. And I started moving to my right. And as I did, I felt my groin go again.
Oh, no.
So, so the penalty went in because I sort of had to abort the attempted dive that I was doing. And I was like, oh, no. So I've sort of gone back in, and he was like, Sooty was panicking because he knew he'd be getting the bollocking for letting me do it. So I was like, we did it whilst training. I slipped. So we sort of sorted it out between me and Such. And I was basically about I was probably 2 weeks away from being fit to play, but it was 4 weeks before I came back. So I had I had partially redone something because there was more bruising that had come out. Because when I did it, I bruised from like my stomach to down below my knee. Everything was just bruised. It was just horrible. Don't do that, lads, if you're going to kick a ball.
Can't take the bag.
If you could have, last one, if you could have 3 players after a game, you go to your local pub for 7 pints and an early night. Which 3 players are you taking with you that you played with?
Well, I'll take Kells, because Kells is just good fun and crazy. I'll try and pick one from each team if I can. So if it's Kells from Leeds, I think you take Tommy Gravison at Everton.
It seems too lively for
I don't think it's
before 12.
It's not stepping at 7, is it?
I think you take Righty from Palace, so it's going to be a fun evening. And we'll take Ian Holloway. So there you go.
That is not in bed for 12. Not a chance.
There is no. I think I might be in trouble that night. Yeah.
The barman's like, oh, fuck, is it closing time yet or what? That's your 7th. Come on, lads. No, thank you very much for that, mate.
Really brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Anyone else got sweaty shins?
Yeah, it's a bit warm in
Very
here.
hot. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, mate.
Okay. No worries.
Thank you, Thomas. Nice to meet you, mate.
For staying so quiet.